Cube podcast. Can we call it a podcast?
I guess.
Okay, my name's Aaron.
We could call it a WADcast.
I was gonna say that, you fucking jerk.
Want to start over?
No.
Still a podcast.
It is a podcast. I'm here with John and Jerome. And so we have this cool, awesome project that I've been talking about for months. I guess it's been months. And we wanted to make a cube consisting of cards chosen by the community, right?
Right.
I thought this was cool. We did about 2 years ago. We tried to do a community cube with cards that we made,
Custom cards,
and it failed. It crashed and burned.
Well, it took too much of our resources to create the cards and to manage the strategy you wanted.
Yeah. So anyway, this is like 2.0. So the point of this thing is to make a really fun draft environment and get the community involved. And I think we're gonna try to do that by getting guests, like I was talking about before. Should we go over not go over what a cube is, because everyone knows what the fuck it is.
Everyone that works.
Okay, so we decided on 360 cards and making it a peasant restriction, right? So that's commons and uncommons, and 2 color pairs. So all the guilds, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are guilds.
We have a bunch. We already have 2, as you can see on the screen. I guess because I am recording the screen. You can see that we've filled in some cards already. We have 2 archetypes, Madness. John's working on Madness, and I'm working on Spells Matter, so I guess like prowess and stuff like that. So how we're going to work this is we're pulling the cards mostly from our collection. So Jerome and I share a collection. We're going to be pulling a lot of cards from that. John has a collection too, and we're going to be pulling cards from that. And then the rest of it, we're going to try to get donations from the community if possible. I would plan on doing, I guess we'll see how it goes, but we can record twice every month, or once every 3 weeks, whenever we draft. And yeah, now the thing I really liked, we didn't talk about it, but I really like the dynamic that John and I have, and that's why I was talking to him about doing this cube, because we both look at cube very differently. So John always sees these, like the first time I played with you, well, not the first time I played with you since
since we weren't kids.
Yeah, he zoned in on what we were playing. We were playing Innistrad, right?
Yep.
Original Innistrad, and he zoned in on humans, just like that. And for me, I wouldn't have done that. I would have done built creatures on curve kind of thing. You know what I mean? So I think my way of building decks and creating cubes is interesting, and I think you can do that. But I think that aspect of having all these archetypes and these synergies is super important and something I might not see. So I think it's cool we could have these discussions going on.
Yeah, you helped me a lot with the...
Shut up. Sorry.
With seeing things like the curve and stuff like that, because usually for me when I play, it's all about combos. It's about cards that are powerful together and things that work well together. That's
it. So that's something I have such a hard time, and I think I've talked to Jerome about this forever. I don't ever see combos ever until I get to either accidentally play them, or someone's you see that this is in the sideboard, you could have used this for the whole thing, you know. Yeah, so I'm really interested in learning that stuff, but I don't have a natural tendency towards it, sadly. So I don't know. We didn't really talk about the dynamic of what will happen when the cube is done. But I have a feeling that it could be cool that, for example, we have our WAD drafts here, but someone could come in and go hey, can I borrow the cube for the GP? And we're not going, and Jerome's going, but he's going to see a bunch of random people there. He could take it out and play test it. You know what I mean? Or whoever, someone could come in and take it because it's not worth.
It's a poth per cube, so if any of the cards get damaged, that's it. It's minute cost to replace them.
Yeah, I have the old plastics, so I think we could use those, right? Do you mind? Blue plastics?
The blue plastics to be used for other cubes,
yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I have a stack of cube plastics just sitting around. All right, so we're gonna be using Cube Tutor. If you guys don't know what it is, that's the best way to start making a cube. You don't even need the cards, and you can basically upload all your cards as a text document. What's wrong?
Forgot to remove the Master and Village Messenger.
Okay, well we can remove it after, I guess. Don't worry.
You really love Shadows over Innistrad.
It was, we started with the 10 cards and then we decided to go a different way.
Great cards, though.
Yeah. The great thing about the site, though, I'm just going to go over this quickly because it's not really that important, but I mean, if anyone's interested in looking at other cubes, there's literally 50,000 cubes on this site. And and the really awesome thing about it is you can playtest, and John and I do that all the time. You can do sealed. You could also look at the curve of your cube, so it'll tell you like white has this many at this many cost and whatever. So you can see like if you have a good curve in general on your deck, right?
It also separates creatures and not creatures.
Yeah, which is super cool. Another thing I really like, but I've yet to use, is the draft analysis, and it tells you. I think this is the draft analysis. It tells you
pimp charts.
Draft charts. There you go, and it shows you. So we haven't drafted yet because there's not enough cards to draft, right? But it tells you how many times a card has been passed or picked. So, for example, in let's think Fire Temper. Fire Temper is probably going to be a card that gets picked almost always first pack, right? So after this has been drafted like 40 times, it'll tell you it has been picked first this many times and it's been passed this many times. So you'll see a percentage, and like you have to kind of figure out what the statistics mean. Like if a card is never picked first pack or it's never picked at all, you'll see that it's like, picked once and it's in the sideboard and it's been like whatever. So this is really cool for like long term if we're when we look at the cube. So I wanted to talk about, last thing I want to do is I want to talk quickly about the archetypes. So you were talking about them before when we were recording, which sucks, but I don't know if you want to take it and just tell us what you saw, like when you. So before you start, John and I both took archetypes, 2-color archetypes, because that's what the cube is focusing on. Like I said, the guilds, and he just, without my saying anything, he just took cards that he really loved, he wanted to play with, and just put them in. And I have no say on it. And I did the same thing for my archetype. And I think that's where we're going to go. And slowly, we could bring people in and say, like, guys, this sucks. Like, you guys are idiots, right? And we could take it out. We could discuss, right? And that's where the community part comes in. Because if not everyone has ownership, I feel like the community is not a big part of it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So, anyways, this is the first step. So, yeah, John.
Okay, so I went with Black and Red Madness. I'm going to start with the red cards that I took. So we'll go with the creatures. Okay. We'll start with Insolent Neonate. So 1-drop, discard a card, Madness trigger, and allows you to draw. So it gives you card advantage as well, which when you're playing with Madness is always a fun thing. Also, given the fact that it's a vampire, which a lot of the cards that have Madness are, it opens up a vampire archetype later if you're going called tribal. So that ends up being a possibility later for other cards like that. So
you can also do the ability at any time, which is super useful.
Exactly, it's a nice sack ability. So instead of just losing it to a block or to a damage spell, you just say goodbye. So then following that, another vampire trigger, Ravenous Bloodseeker.
How good is this guy? Because I feel like
it's really good.
Amazing.
One of the cards that I actually put in here is a Madness card that really, really works well with this one. We'll just jump down here to Senseless Rage. You Madness, you discard Senseless Rage, and then you play it on him, giving him an additional +2/+2, which makes him that much stronger. He becomes a 6.
Wait, was that the play you did against me?
Yeah, that's the play I did against you.
So I got a phone call. We were drafting it, and I'm like, okay, just do your turn, man. And he's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna discard this. And then he pulled out a card. I'm like, okay, hold on, I gotta go because he's doing like, I think he did like 15 damage, or what was, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 damage in one turn.
And then I played that. But anyway, so yes, so the Senseless Rage, which gives you another +2/+2 on the creature, which, given the fact that his ability gives him a -2 on it, allows you to activate it again for free. And once again, because it's only a 2-drop, 2 mana, you can also go for more Madness.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we're going to just skip over here. Okay, I just want to skip over this card for now. So Blood Mad Vampire,
obviously,
typical, it's just a 2-drop, which is better than its regular cost, and once again, it goes back into the Madness. Mad Prophet, I like it. Discard a card, draw a card. It's a Madness trigger, and what I like about it is it's a Madness trigger that doesn't cost any mana. That is going to be something huge, because the more Madness that you're playing, if all your triggers cost mana to play, then you're not going to be able to drop as many of them as you'd like.
And I mean, it's a looter, and they're just like always freaking amazing.
And then, of course, Corrigible Youths.
No way.
So they're another vampire Madness creature, which, fortunately or unfortunately, a lot of the Madness creatures tend to be vampires. We're hoping that with Eldritch Moon, they'll open up some new things. But it'll probably just be more vampires.
I can't wait. I hope they do. I hope they keep on going with it.
Okay, so going down, Lightning Axe, 1-drop creature removal that also is a Madness trigger. Or if you want to play for the extra 5 mana, which probably not going to happen,
a good
but
card, man.
it's instant and gives you that. Okay, we're going to go down to Fiery Temper. It's perfect for this type of cube.
And it's just like awesome, even if you're not
going Madness, it's a nice 3 damage.
It's just an awesome card.
Okay, if we keep going down, I have this card. Okay, so typically a sorcery. Madness gives you the opportunity to play this card when it would be beneficial as a surprise blocker on using his own creatures to block. Because you gain control of the creature, untap his creature, it's stronger and gains haste.
Dude,
so
you can do it at instant speed and block his own guys.
Exactly.
Oh, God,
so you can use his creatures to sack it, and with a ton of
Aaron. Nice to meet you, man.
So with the ton of madness triggers that we have going on in the cube, you'll never run out of reasons to be wanting to be able to use this.
Cool.
And once again, Senseless Rage, which brings us down to the red. Okay, so I just want to go back up. One card type that we had that I had looked at and hadn't been used in a long time were Spellshapers. When they originally came out, I didn't really think that they were that great. You're essentially losing card advantage to use an ability that your opponent can see coming every time, right? Mm-hmm. However, with Madness, it not only allows you to use these abilities without really losing your cards, but it also adds an unpredictability into so I'm taking, for example, with the Archmage, I'm taking the 2 damage, but what else is coming along with it?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so and your Archmage, 3 mana for a 2/2, 3 mana, discard a card, deal 2 damage, and, like I said, Madness trigger.
Sweet.
Some of the Madness triggers are a lot more fun in black, with the black Spellshapers, so we'll go through that right now. So the first one that I chose was Cackling Witch. 2 mana for a 1/1, X black, tap it, discard a card, and target creature gains +X/+0 until end of turn. So the Madness, unless you're playing a card that has a 1-drop Madness, your Cackling Witch's ability won't be as strong as you could have it run. But
it's kind of
realistically,
more an enabler than
exactly. But losing a +1/+0 to be able to play a creature is never a problem, right?
So, so each Madness card you're playing has the added +1/+0 onto it or whatever.
Yeah. So there's that. If we go down, we have the Era Falconwrath, which is a vampire. It's standalone. This card is amazing. In Madness, it really helps. Yeah. Pale Rider, 2 mana for a 3/3 Skulk, and when you put it into play, discard a card. Once again, it's great. The only downside is that you might be trying to hold on to this card for an extra turn to be able to play.
But this guy is fine, even if you have just a hand
exactly.
with more lands.
So it depends really on your hand. If you've got if you have a couple of 1-drops and this guy, then you can maybe hold off on playing him until 3rd turn to be able to get your 1-drop Madness card in. Mm-hmm. But it's the kind of card that I feel people will hesitate too much on.
I like it though.
Well, no, I love it, obviously, otherwise I would have put it. Okay, so Undertaker. Okay, so this card is one of my favorite Spellshapers that I chose. So 1 mana, discard a card from your hand, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand.
Oh, sick, yeah, that's right. It's just going to be like the cyclical thing.
Exactly. So you could discard cards that you have that have Madness to bring back creatures that you have that have Madness, and then discard those creatures that have Madness, or you could bring back essentially any creature from your hand so that, honestly, you'll never be out of cards on the board.
One of the things that I was worried about is enablers and what's the other one? So you have your enablers and then you have your actual cards, right? But this one, it's like standalone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it helps out the archetype obviously, but it also it's just a great card, and those are cards that are great in cube, because they could go into any deck kind of thing.
Okay. Exactly.
Funny fact about the Undertaker is that it was reprinted in Time Spiral to fit Madness.
Okay. Hold on a second there. Just want to... print? Oh, God. Cancel that shit.
We're going to have to start all over now.
No.
Just kidding.
Nice.
Okay. So the next card I put in was Big Game Hunter. So it's a 3 mana for a 1/1. When it comes into play, destroy target creature with power 4 or greatest. It can't be regenerated. And the beauty of this, it's a 1/1 for 1.
Yeah, he showed me this morning. I was like, oh,
with
God.
the Madness triggers, it's a huge bomb destroyer. 1 mana, you play that with any of the Spellshapers, and on the opponent's turn, you can be taking out their strongest creatures for 1 mana and another ability. Exactly. So if we go down, we have Bogwitch. So essentially a living dark ritual. What's fun about this card is you pay 1 mana, discard a card from your hand, and you add the 3 mana, and then you can pay that mana to play your pricier Madness cards. So cards that are 4 to cast with Madness now become essentially free. And given that we don't have to worry about mana burn anymore, this is even better. Because if you can't play the 3 black, you could still play 2 colorless and a red or whatever. Okay, so Urborg Siphon Mage. A little bit of the same thing. 3 mana, tap it, discard a card. Each other player loses 2 life. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. So Madness trigger, that also gives you a 4 life swing. And if it's in a multiplayer game, which probably won't be, it's even better. So another card, Nightshade Assassin. So it's 4 mana for a 2/1 first strike. When it comes into play, you may reveal X black cards in your hand. If you do, target creature gets -X until end of turn, and it has 2 madness. So the beauty about this card is that, okay, not only is the madness cost ridiculously low, which the older cards...
What is it?
It's 2 mana.
It's a 2/2?
For a 2/1 first strike. The madness cost is 2 CMC, but not only that, even like it's a if you're playing the archetype that I have built here, it's a multicolored hand. So even if you have 7 cards in hand, max you're gonna have 3 black cards in your hand.
Or land too, though.
No, but that's what I mean. Max you'll have 3. So when playing this card, if you reveal 3 cards, you give a creature -3/-3, but you've also flashed in a 2/1 first strike blocker.
Yeah.
So you can lay low any creature that has 5 toughness or less without risking any of your creatures, and it becomes a surprise.
And you could block a creature.
Exactly, this is the point. Exactly. You could also take out 2 creatures, or you can take out 1 really strong creature. So
it's an incredibly sexy card.
okay, and now another one that I've always kind of liked, but has always been kind of terrible, Scandalmonger. So this card, it's a 4 mana for a 3/3, and it's one of the Mongers. So essentially, its ability is any player can play 2 mana and use its ability. So 2 mana, target player discards a card from his or her hand. So the fun thing about this is that not only can you be using this to activate your madness, you can also be giving yourself card advantage by making your opponents discard their cards when you have no madness to play. And the best part is that it negates the downside of it, because if they make you discard cards, you can just play them for their madness costs.
Yeah.
So the Scandalmonger is one of
the scary card, though.
It's kind of fun, yeah.
Okay. Not to make you sweat.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sweating.
Okay, so now to go back to the rest of the cards that are in here. So, Murderous Compulsion. It's just great on its own, but the fact that it has madness makes it an instant as opposed to a sorcery. Alms of the Vein. I have to admit that this is like one of my fetish cards. I love any cards that are drain lives, because the opponent loses 3 life. It's a 6 life swing for 1 mana if you use the madness, and once again, the madness removes the sorcery restriction.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Biting Rain. Honestly, this card standalone is amazing.
And it's probably even better in this because the tendency is going to be towards more aggressive strategies.
Exactly. And
there's going to be a lot more 2 toughness creatures, so...
Agreed, absolutely.
More or less.
Okay, Sinister Concoction. This card is...
Everyone loves this card.
It's just fantastic. It's got a little bit of everything, but... It works for graveyard decks. It works for anything, but it just straight up destroys target creature at instant speed. Pay 1 life. It's just a fun card to have, honestly, and just having it on the board can sometimes stop people.
This might fit slot into other archetypes, which is cool.
Absolutely, exactly. So you're not restricted. Any card that can work in multi decks, because you're not going to get 100% of the cards for your archetype anyway.
Exactly.
So you're going to want ones that can bleed into. Okay. This one is probably my favorite from the Innistrad set. I don't know how many times it's made my game go on 10 turns longer than it's allowed me to win.
The last time I played against John, and he had this card, and I didn't realize that you didn't have to pay life. I thought you had to pay life to get a 1/1 vampire with fucking lifelink. So it's ridiculous.
So as you probably have noticed by listening, I love flashing in defenders. This is the ultimate flashing into defender card, but not only that, it allows you madness, so you can flash in better defenders on top of your little cards that are gonna save you from taking a pounding from 1 large creature, and you gain a life. So, like I said before, I love life swings. This is a fantastic life swing. Okay, and the last card that I added to this is Creeping Dead. So at the beginning of your upkeep, each player discards a card. Each opponent who discarded a card that shares a card type with the card type you discarded loses 3 life.
Did you say that 3 times fast?
I could probably say it 3 times. So essentially, it's a free madness trigger during your upkeep that also, if the bad guy, your opponent has the bad luck to discard...
He's a bad guy, to be honest.
I'm a bad guy, yeah. has the bad luck to discard the card that has the same type as yours, well, they lose 3 life. So, once again, it doesn't affect you that much because you're discarding your cards into play, whereas if someone else is not playing Madness, they're discarding it into the graveyard.
So I had to ask the obvious question on this one, but is it actually good? Have you used it much in draft?
No. But then again, in draft, I've never had a card that was built directly, a deck that was built Madness 100%, right? So
I've had Madness decks, and sadly, this one falls at the end of the line. It might have another much cooler application though in the larger structure of the cube.
Cool. Like I said,
which is hand disruption.
It could be hand disruption. It could also just be you keeping up your advantage and using card advantage. You're each discarding a card. You could find some way to just to abuse this card.
This goes in fairly good in an aggro deck, I guess, if you can somehow. But the problem is you can't guarantee what they're going to discard. That's the problem. So they're going to sandbag lands. That's most likely. So I have a feeling that if you want to get the 3 life out of them, you're going to have to start discarding non-Madness cards. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So you have your 2-drop, 3-drop black aggro cards or whatever, and then you have your 4. This is kind of like your finisher-ish kind of thing, and then you can have this going on, and you're just hoping to. Well, you could be Madnessing out things, but you could also be like, okay, I want to discard the same thing as them, so that 3 life actually means something. You know what I mean? But anyway,
it's a bit of a gamble, this card, but I'm very curious to see.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Yeah, I think this will be fun to play test for sure.
If we end up getting other decks, like a black-blue that gives you a lot of scrying the other people's hands and stuff like that, that could also be an interesting
that's true.
thing to do.
That's very true.
Like I said, I put it in because I feel it could, you can never have too many triggers for cards like Madness, because if you're sitting there and you can't discard cards out of your hand, you're just playing cards at regular speed or at sorcery speed.
And they're fairly good anyways.
So, we'll see. Obviously, this is step 1.
Yeah, so, I like it.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll talk a little bit about the deck that I made. I don't want to take too much time because it's already 21 minutes. So it's the Spells Matters. You guys all know what it is. So the poster child is kind of Delver, but I also went into I was sad because I wanted to make a 50-50 cut on spells and creatures to make it worth it. So I have a lot of the creatures like Kiln Fiend, Young Pyromancer, Gutter Snipe. These things all really require a high density of spells, and then spells that have flashback, right? So the idea behind this is you drop 1 creature. You have, I don't know, let's say 10, 12 creatures max in the deck, and all your spells have 2 life, as in 2 chances to cast them, right?
Lives.
Yeah, 2 lives. So you're playing with Faithless Looting, and then you're flashing it back. Or even if you're using, I have put Aberrant Researcher in here, so it's like dumping stuff into your graveyard, but you can just pull them back because you have flashback, right? So you're not losing on any. You're accessing a lot of resources that you wouldn't have in a regular deck, right? Think twice. Una's Grace is just like infinity. Like once it's in your graveyard, you just keep on discarding lands that you don't need, because a lot of the Spells Matter cards are really low convert mana cost. So Storm Chaser Mage is another
a great card.
Yeah. So 1/3 flyer for 2 haste prowess. I was pretty. These are I just threw this together, from my experience playing with the archetype, and I just put together all the good flashback cards. The one thing I'm gonna look out for though is the Teamer Battle Rage, because that's something that it was really popular. I think it's really popular in Pauper right now, in Constructed Pauper, and it works really good with some cards. Like I had Nivik Cyclops, which is a 1/4. And has Defender, and whenever you play a non-creature spell, or I think it's an instant or a sorcery, I'm not sure, it gets +3/+0, right? And with Teamer Battle Rage, it just makes it stupid, right? Gets out of hand.
Teamer Battle and Double Strike works very, very well with any creature that has prowess.
The problem is the creature has to have power 4 or greater
to get trample, but trample is not necessarily what you're going to be buying. The Double Strike on its own is powerful enough.
Right, I mean,
Well, let's just take a look, like you were talking before about your Storm Chaser Mage, right? 1/3, Flying Haste Prowess. Play that card, I mean, it's 4 damage as opposed to...
Yeah, which is
it's not
mediocre
great,
at best,
but
I feel.
You've got other cards in here that take advantage of that.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, so the next time we talk about this, I think like it'd be cool. Maybe someone will like for sure. Whirlwind Adept is just like that's the 1/2 combo, right? Someone will for sure mention like, "Hey, Aaron, you fucking idiot! You missed this card, right? You already mentioned something, right? What was it? The card that you mentioned? Or was it you? No. Hey, you're mentioning a card. You said that you're surprised I didn't have it in here.
Yes, but I don't remember what it was.
All right, that's great. All right, so that's it. So the plan here is that if we could do this once every 3 weeks, once a month, or whatever, it would be cool. And so every time we do this, I'd like to have someone else in the group bring a whole 25 cards of an archetype and just like plop it in here. We discuss it and then move on to the next archetype kind of thing.
Cool.
So it's up to you if you want to do the next one, Drew.
Yeah, I'll be there for the next one.
Yeah. So you could take the torch and like take the helm and go for it. Ideally, in my mind, I wanted to have like connecting colors, so you could really see what each color is doing.
Sure,
so you can kind of, but I mean, we have almost everything unless you want to do like Selesnya green white, but I don't think you're going to be choosing that. So black, there's already something here, so you could already work off of black. You could already easily work off of red and blue as well. So, anyway, so that's it. Anything else?
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Cool.
No, that's,
so so I guess we'll see where this goes, and then